Yeah, hi everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part two of our holiday. So it'll start off in Broken Hill. We'll have a look at the museums and the Miners' Memorial. We'll shoot out to Silverton, have a look around there, the Mad Max Museum, Daydream Island, Daydream Mine we went through and done a bit of a touristy thing there. So no, it was all very interesting. So sit back and enjoy this one. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did taking the holiday. Yeah, so here's just some emus and stuff on the drive before Broken Hill. I flew over, tried to chase them, but they're very inquisitive sort of animals. They just stood there and looked at me like, what's this magpie flying around doing? They weren't scared at all, not like the goats. Yeah, the goats, I managed to herd them up pretty good. I reckon there's a calling there. I go out and do some freelance goat herding with the drone. I didn't chase these fellas for too long. They looked like it was stinking hot and not much for these poor fellas to eat out here. One thing I did notice about this trip was the lack of goats. When Dave and I rode out here in March earlier this year, there was like 1,000,000 goats. So they must have done a big herd up and sold them all off to China or whatever they do with them. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a train coming out there in the distance, and we managed to get in front of him and run over to the track and get a video of it. So yeah, very interesting. But the squeal as it's going around this curve, it's bloody deafening. Yeah, so this is actually in the main heart of Broken Hill. We just went to the information centre to see where we should go. And this is just across the road in the park. It's a bit of a memorial, bit of a static display, I suppose you'd call it. So yeah, it's just a working head. That's an air compressor. So a working head they've got set up there as a bit of a memorial thing. And a bit of information to read. Yeah, so this is supposed to be a big ant. I think it was designed by Pro Heart and stuck in the park here. And we're just trying to drive around town, so soaked up some of the history, like all these old churches and miners' cottages. A heap of miners' cottages, and there's people are still living in them, eh? They've sort of done them up nice, but geez, they're tiny. So you're heading up to the Miners' Memorial now to have a look around. So this is the old smelter we're just going past now, and up past all the mullock heaps and loading frames and docks and whatever else. There is a shaft right there, which I'll get a little bit of a shot from the top of the hill behind it in a minute. I don't know much history about it. I should have done a bit of research and told you a bit of information, eh? Bit slack. So this is actually the miners' memorial here now. So it is. There's a whole honour board in there that dates back to like into the early 1800s sort of thing. That with all the names, how they died. Spend hours there reading it, and the view's pretty damn good. You don't sort of realise how big Broken Hill is until you're standing up here and panning around. Yeah, and this is behind that mine site there, so that working head there and the shaft's directly under it. And just looking back across to the memorial again. Yeah, we just done a drive up, and I think these must have been like managers' quarters or offices or whatever they would have been back in the heyday. Looks like a fairly flash looking place, or it would have been. But all derelict now, falling down. Yeah, more miners' cottages just here, eh? There's just heaps of them. That mini orb, corrugated iron and all that sort of stuff they're made out of. But all still nice, and people are still living in them. So we're heading up now to, what do they call it? Junction Mine, I think this one is. So that's the manager's residence just right in front of us now. And we'll drive around the back of his house and up to the mine itself. So there's a working head up here as well, a working frame, head frame, whatever you bloody call it. And a bit of other stuff, some tanks and winding gear and all the rest of it. And a pretty good view from up here too, actually. So from what I can work out, the working head would have brought it to the material to the surface, and then conveyor belt across the top of that shed. And down on the left there, it would have tipped it into a hopper, and it looks like they used to back trucks back under it. That's how they used to remove it and take it to the smelter, I'd say. So that'll be the hoppers I was just talking about, which they'd store the material in there for removal. Unfortunately, we couldn't get into the winding shed, like it was all locked up tight. There was just a few holes in walls. I stuck the camera up through a hole, and you can't see much, unfortunately, but it all looks like it's still there. So it must be a little bit more modern, this one, I reckon. But yeah, there's a few holes in the tin around the place. I went and stuck the camera in, but so yeah, just looking over the fence into the mines manager's residence. So this is his backyard, fairly flash looking house. And again, I think it was probably used a little bit recently because there was an electric hot water system and a bit of other gear. There's a good one shot of the front with the mine up behind it. And just, yeah, more miners' cottages. I really like the look of some of these little houses. All the bloody tin they used and whatever they could find to make a house out of. So that's the cenotaph, or the RSL Memorial thingo. And just across the road is the Palace Hotel. So we went in here for lunch, pretty good palmy. This is where they filmed the bar scene sort of thing for that Pricilla Queen of the Desert. It's a very artistic place. Everything's painted, the ceiling, the walls, everywhere. You can just imagine Hugo Weaving up there strutting his stuff in his feathery outfit. But yeah, the pub itself, it's just quite a work of art. So yeah, we stayed out at the Broken Hill Racecourse. They turned it into like a caravan park, eh? What a bloody good setup it is out here. Had trotters early in the morning waking us up, or horses running around. It was pretty cool. So I had the drone up and I was trying to film an emu actually, and then next thing this trotter started running around. So I stayed a fair way away from him so I didn't annoy him. But this is early one morning, nice sunrise. The dopey old horse looked like he's ready to have a sleep. Must have woke him up too early. And look at these bloody grasshoppers. They were bloody thick. So yeah, so this is the next day. We cruised on back into town and went here to the rail museum. So this is the original old railway station building. The sign here says Broken Hill Heritage City Sulphide Street Railway and Historical Museum Complex. So what a great place this is. I thoroughly recommend if you're into museums and stuff, because we love history, I suppose. But I got a lot out of this. This was well worth the $18 or whatever it was to get in. Spent quite a few hours here. So much stuff to look at. Really, really cool. This must be all the lost luggage, eh? I've never ever found a home for it.
The spoons.
They're first class, they're engraved.
And so are they.
South Australian Railways. Yeah, so now we're getting up into the Silver City Comet. So, bloody old rail motor. Very cool. I love all this old gear. I'll double time you as we walk up through it, but just, yeah, look at all this wood panelling and timber and leather seats. Oh, beautiful. Like I said, I love this old gear. The way it was all set up. So we'll get up here. This is the kitchen. Imagine how many sandwiches they made in there. Holy bloody hell. Quite a few meals would have come out of that. My favourite part of the train, the engine room. So this is a generator, this one on this end. So it's basically duplicated. All screaming two-stroke jimmies. I was just wondering what the heat and the noise that would have been coming out of this thing as it was thundering along the rail tracks. Would have been deafening. See, I was just thinking about the poor old train driver. So there's a screaming Jimmy that on the left hand side, and then he's sitting right here. So under that thin wall between him and that screaming bloody engine, imagine the heat. Just that little bit of a wall. Continuing on with the hospital. All the doctors and nurses. The eye slit machine. It's an Umberumberka. Something to do with eyes. Excuse me. And I promise that is the floor. I'm not farting. I guarantee you. I wonder if that picks up the ABC. No. Down into the tool shop. Some primitive looking shit in here. I suppose this is an anaesthetic, yeah, Boyle's anaesthetic machine. So we're into the horse-drawn stuff now. So I don't know what that is. It's stretchy. Oh, Vic, that's an ambulance wagon, horse-drawn. The Broken Hill migrants. that made Broken Hill what it is today. Yeah, so as you can see, we're just heading into the township now of Silverton. We'll turn up past the pub here, but yeah, some very historic sort of stuff out here too, like old buildings, old courthouse and police station and stuff. Turn up past the pub here. This is a top little pub. I'll take you in for a look around. We'll go back and buy the customary beer. She's pretty busy there, eh? Like it's lunchtime now. We'll go back after lunch and it'll be quiet. So yeah, some old church here and a bit of other gear. Didn't bother getting out, it's like about 49 degrees here at the moment. A little V-dub beetle there, and I had Catholic school or something or other written on the side of it. Masonic Lodge there on the right. The old Freemasons, they had the little windows right up high so you couldn't see their secret handshakes and whatever they used to do with the goat in there. So yeah, Mad Max Museum. Couldn't film a lot in here, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but geez, he's got some gear in this tin shed. But I can't remember that UFO in any of the Mad Max movies. I think that's a ring-in. So you can video out the back here a little bit, but the actual main part you can't do any videoing in. I don't know why, I don't understand it. But anyway, secret stuff, like the Masonic Lodge across the road, I suppose. But yeah, a lot of the old cars, like all these are original. The old Mack truck and the oil pumper thing out of, I don't know what that was. Mad Max 2, was it? Where they had the oil pump thing going. The V8 Interceptor. Yes, I pulled up here to look at these 3 donkeys. Oh, I mean 2 donkeys. Sorry, can't count. Whoops. Yeah, these donkeys, they just walk around the town common, they call it. Yeah, just everywhere. So yeah, this is inside the pub, and again it's a bit like a museum itself. There's heaps of stuff to read, there's stuff hanging on the wall, hanging from the ceiling, photo albums. Look at this one, it's all the people that have been through the pub, bit of that Mad Maxi stuff through there. Anything they've ever done to the pub, there's photos and it's recorded. It's bloody brilliant. So yeah, you can sit here and drink beer and soak in all this stuff for hours, I reckon. But we didn't hang around. We had things to do. It's still worth even just stopping in, have a beer, have a look at his snake collection, look at his photo albums. Yeah, inside the bar there's stuff hanging, like I said, off the ceiling and cards stuck to walls. Plenty of interesting stuff to look at. Now in Yellowstone, when Rip takes all these people to the train station, I think this might be the train station they take them to, because if you dump someone out the back of this one, no one would ever find them, eh? So that's the Silverton railway station. Yeah, so now we're driving around, we're on top of Mundy Lookout. So this is the Mundy Plains, and it's flat, eh? Like this isn't much of a hill, and it's the only hill out here. Very flat, and this is where they filmed most of that. I think it was Mad Max 2. Yeah, she's pretty flat. And when I was flowing the drone around, I noticed this dam over here, so we're going to go and have a squizzy at that in a minute. Yes, I've done a bit of Googling while I was waiting for you to come back. This is called, now I don't know, these bloody names down here have got me, Umberumberka Reserve, and it began construction in 1911, employed 500 men and took 4 years to construct. So in 1915 she started supplying water to Silverton, and I think there's even a pipeline that goes over to Broken Hill now. Bit of information for you. 50,000 drums of cement powder were delivered by horse and cart to construct this place. By horse and cart, bloody hell. So now we're driving into what they call the Daydream Mine. So this is just outside Silverton, and this is the ruins of the smelter that was actually there on this place. So yeah, we drive around the corner and we're actually at Daydream Mine itself, and we're going to go underground. So here's Diane, she's booking in for a cup of tea and scone after the tour.
Of the ore that was all hand-picked, every last ounce of it, mind you, across to Freiburg in Germany, eh? You have the ore processed over there in Europe. Yeah, until they built this smelter here on site, which they employed the 80 men in 1884, took the 80 men 12 odd months, cost them £3,000, but nevertheless in 1885, after all expenses were paid, the BRSMA said to have made in profit well over £100,000, so well worth for building the bloody smelter here, right? It only run for a period of 12 months. The BRSMA was one of the three associations or companies that helped put the money behind the Syndicate of Seven there also to help form the company of BHP, if you will. Where the Syndicate of Seven had their meeting was in at the Silverton Hotel. That's why I'm pointing over my shoulder there, but in at the Silverton Hotel back in 1883. It was a while until they got their first payday, if you will. The first ever 1,500 tonne of ore that they mined in Broken Hill was said to have been walked down to Menindee, loaded to a paddle steamer, and the paddle boat come along the sandbar on the river. It was said to be jettison cargo overboard, eh? So that bloody captain of that paddle boat weren't waiting for the next floodwaters to get going again, was he? That's a little bit different to today's mining OHS standards by a little slower,
Yeah, so this guy, he was a bit of a laugh. Very politically incorrect. Gave us his political views and, yeah, very informative fella. He really knew his stuff. But anyway, I suppose he does this 3 or 4 times a day, so he'd be used to spruiking on a bit. But he was very entertaining. Yeah, so down into the mine we go. You can't stand up straight everywhere. It was a bit hard on your sort of neck and upper back because you sort of had to walk along hunched over a lot of the time. Some of it you could stand up and have a stretch, but you really wouldn't want to have been claustrophobic in any way. But again, this guy, he spruiked on the whole time. Very entertaining, and he kept giving us his political views, of course, and dropping the odd F-bomb here and there. Yeah, he was good value.
His son there, and it was 1901, he tried to walk through to Baukanuna, and, he tried to walk through to Lee Creek, the distance about 80 miles, he perished for the want of water. He ended up perishing there, got his death certificate in the tea room there, perished for the want of water. Age 62.
Wow.
Well, our line is on 7-1 decline, if you will. He hasn't turned on a 30-mile side, no? So our level notes for next correction when they find out. Yeah. So it's completely different in the way of ground structure and that as well. Yeah. Yeah. And the mother lode plates are all flat above the head back, so like that, and the mother lode Broken Hill, they're mostly all, you know, in areas they can be anyway, push straight up, yeah. Or 30 milking it up all week, no doubt, eh? And when it comes to the crunch, mate, they've been out of there. Featured Bob was a shift boss, see? So they would have been all sucking up to him during the week, you know, oh, come out, give you a hand, no doubt. Here and holding the tap there, one end above, one below, mate. Please turn all your lights out there for a couple of minutes if you could, please, guys. There was the hammer there, bloody couldn't even see that, eh?
Yes.
That's like that's the mic, mate. Yeah. Just the bird on their lungs as well as the silica, the quartz has been proven as the cast again, yet granite stone hasn't been yet.
Fucking not much holding that up, eh? Okay, after we make our way out from the mine here, we go and have a cup of tea and a scone with the fellow mine tourist people, I suppose. Yeah, met some nice people this day. Really enjoyed this. He was very entertaining, old mate. He had us laughing there a fair bit. So yeah, so this is going to be the end. Part 3, I think we'll start heading from Broken Hill down through Mildura to Swan Hill. We're going to do a tour around Swan Hill, and I suppose that'll nearly be another episode. So anyway, come back and see where episode 3 takes us. Okay, see you then, guys. Thank you.